Well, folks, are you ready for this? Game 4 on board number 2. And we've only got 5 more matches for the day and for the tournament on board 2. 1 this afternoon and 4 this evening. We don't know who's going to be playing tonight because the draw will take place on the main stage. But with whose name in the hat? It's going to be Dimitri van den Bergh or Mervyn King. It can't be both of them. But Nathan Aspinall is there, taking out 86 in the last leg and making sure that he didn't have the drama of a 19th leg. But Mervyn King, who has played in every UK Open since 2007, now tries to continue in this tournament to better what he did in 2014. Here at Minehead, he made the semi-finals and lost to the eventual champion, Adrian Lewis. I wonder if there are many more stories to be written for Merv. A lot of people talking about his possible demise at the start of 2023, but you can never write off Mervyn. Now against Dimitri, who's in the infancy, possibly, of his greatness. Dan McCarthy's with me, Paul the Asset Nicholson, for this last game of the afternoon. Dimitri's already done the dancing. Will he do the doubling?
Thank you, gentlemen. First
well, you probably put him as the favourite coming into this game, but Mervyn King, you are right, he probably is on the decline slightly, but what he does manage to do every year or every couple of years, he'll go on a deep run, and that'll just prolong his stay on the tour. But he is in danger of dropping outside of the top 32 in the world of darts if he doesn't pick up decent results. But yesterday, it was something of a rarity in recent years, a win in the UK Open. He came through Keane Barry, averaging 90 and a 10-7 victory. It was his first win here since 2019.
435.
It's a good omen. But Mervyn King has not had a good start to the year. He's only won 1 game on the Pro Tour. Hasn't qualified for any of the first 4 Euro Tours, so badly out of form coming into this one.
Yeah, he won't like that. He's been very busy away from the hockey over the last 2 or 3 years, establishing his own building firm.
59.
But maybe thinking about what comes after top-level darts. He's still got a lot of talent as Mervyn. He's one of those players for me who, when you see him put his darts down at the end of his career, will he have won enough titles to cement a legacy that is fair for him? And I'd have to say no. Lost in 2 Lakeside finals to Tony David and Andy Fordham. And quite a few other finals in the PDC as well. I'd say for the amount of talent that Mervyn has or has had, maybe 2 or 3 titles have been left on other people's mantelpieces.
And for the amount of dedication that he puts into the game as well, you'd maybe expected him to scoop one of the big pots, but he could scoop the first leg here. Treble 14, now 20 for tops. It's a good start for Mervyn King.
That's a bed that he's really improved at over the last couple of years. He never used to leave it unless it was absolutely necessary. But he has evolved a little bit over the last 18 to 24 months, just leaving it a bit more often and getting his own back on a bed that's cost him a few quid over the years.
Almost a la Gary Anderson, but the other way around.
Pretty much. I remember when Mervyn won the World Masters almost 20 years ago. There you go. Yeah, that was nearly 20 years ago. And the tears he shed when he won that title. I'm being sentimental because he's a friend of mine. But I want to see those tears again, you see. Doesn't matter what the tournament is. It could be the UK Open, the World Championship, whatever. But I'd love to see that kind of emotion from Mervyn again with him lifting a title. I live for moments like that, especially when they're to good people.
He hasn't won a a title of any sort since Players' Championship in 2018.
140.
And he didn't really go on many big runs last year either. And particularly on TV, he was always a staple of the schedule, but last year he played in the UK Open, the Players' Championship Finals and the Worlds. That's it.
Missing out on the match play in the Grand Prix. Bit of a rarity when it comes to the career of Mervyn King, which now spans over 25 years. Seems to have the measure of Dimitri at the start of this one.
58. Mervyn, you require 36.
Well, the doubles at the top of the board seem to be cooperating for Mervyn so far today. One man he has played in the UK Open before is Gary Anderson. Now he's in the hat, courtesy of winning on this stage against a Belgian
54.
in Kim Huybrechts. And one of the things that Mervyn has done in his career is hit a 9-darter against Gary Anderson back in 2010. We haven't had one in this tournament, which I find, considering the level of play we've had from all of the players, astounding. Maybe we'll get one before the end of the day.
Does the law of averages suggest we could get it late in the tournament? I hope not, because I want it to be on stage 2.
95.
It's a bit selfish, Dan. I concur, by the way. I'm surprised to see that these guys have played each other 10 times and Mervyn's won 7 of them. I'm trying to think on the fly as to why that might be the case. One, does Dimitri hold Mervyn some sort of esteem? Does he feel nervous playing against a great player like him? Or is Mervyn really comfortable with the pace of this match? He's not being rushed. He can take his time. I think it might be that. Because when you play Dimitri, you've got plenty of time on your hands. And King loves a patient game.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think they're two mid to slow pace players.
140.
And they'll kind of bounce off each other in that regard. Two fast players like playing against each other, two slow players. It's when it's a mismatch that sometimes you don't know what's going to happen.
Well, that wasn't a good second dart. Let's see how good these three are. He might not even need 3. He does need 3. And he needs the bull.
45.
Nope, it's his first miss at a double. Bergh to register first leg. He doesn't usually like tops. Likes it then.
This is the first time these guys have met in a match play style match, so it's leg for leg, that isn't best of 11. Not surprising, really, considering most of the darts that these guys play on the floor and in European Tour matches are best of 11. I have played in the World Grand Prix in 2019. That was won by Mervyn by 2-1. But they have an interesting pattern when it comes to their head-to-head. Because Mervyn won the first 4, then Dimitri won the next 3, and then Mervyn's won the 3 after that. So he's on another streak against the young Belgian. All that aside, Dimitri has not beaten Mervyn for 6 years.
Not since July 2017. Players Championship 15 of that year in Barnsley.
I think it's fair to say that around that time, Dimitri was still trying to figure out how to play on the floor. He was always seen as a big stage player, but it took him a little bit of time to figure out how to really knit together a campaign in a Players' Championship. He's won since then, of course, on more than one occasion. But without cheating, The last time he beat Mervyn, that day in 2017, who won the tournament?
81.
No cheating. I know you've got access to the same stats as me. Have a guess. If you get it,
Well,
I'll pay for your fish and chips later.
all right, I'm gonna, because it's kind of darts trivia.
60.
Joe Mernon.
Revenue required 133.
Nice try. It was Darren Webster. Beat Darrell Gurney in the final that day by 6 legs to 1.
Can you still pay for my fish and chips anyway?
Nice try.
93.
Tight Yorkshire.
Revenue required 127.
And King's left himself on another Northern double. Is he getting a look at it? You bet he is.
47. Revenue required 40.
Tops, 18s, and not tops this time. It was that double that cost him a Masters in 2014.
30.
And doing that
Revenue required
may cost
80.
him leg 4 of this contest.
The match that spurned the original Merv gif.
Really?
Really?
Double 10?
Yeah,
He can hit it.
Dimitri van den Bergh. Mid leg is Dimitri through first. Game on.
Merv can see the funny side of it this time. But if it keeps happening, he won't.
Now there's a grin on Merv's face, but it'll turn into a scowl pretty quickly.
60.
Michael van Gerwen won't be scowling. He survived a bit of a scare against his compatriot Martijn Kleermaker, but he's gone on to win that 10-6. Johnny Clayton 6-2 up against Jose de Souza.
60.
And the last game of the outer boards, we'll see Steve Beaton take on Rob Cross. They're just getting warmed up now.
If you're just looking at the results on the main stage and the outer boards,
140.
and you come across the Van Gerwen Kleermaker game and you think, well, 10-6, that looks pretty routine. Kleermaker was 6-4 up. He's lost the last 6 legs straight. So full credit to MVG for doing that, because he was in a bit of bother at the second break in that game. We have access to a database that gives us the live rankings, and it's really good reading today. There's a lot of people making moves. There are people trying to defend positions. One person like that is Luke Humphreys, because he made the final 2 years ago, which, if I remember rightly, was about £40,000.
64.
He's going to have to make the final again if he wants to maintain his position in the top 5 in the world.
100.
How high can Dimitri go in the rankings, you feel? If he wins the tournament, the best he could possibly hope for is 5th.
Dimitri requires 64.
He won't be bothered about that. He would just love the fact that he's got his second ranking major title.
He'd also love double 8.
Yeah,
Gets double 8.
Dimitri van den Bergh.
Well, after a bit of a ropey start from Dimmy,
Game.
firmly asserting control now.
At this stage of a game, I always tend to cast my eye over the brow of Mervyn to see how his body's reacting to the conditions. He looks pretty comfortable. When it came to Red's Bar, where we usually have stage 2, and some other areas of this complex, he might have a few more beads of sweat on the brow, but not here. It has been a little chilly over the last 24 hours at times.
92.
But you have to make good preparations to get ready for this.
Yeah, maybe practicing in a similarly sort of chilly environment would be a good thing. It won't be pleasant, but it would get you acclimatized to the stage.
Yeah, the worst thing you can do is practice in a really hot room and then go out to a slightly chilly oki like this. Has been over the last 24 hours, like I mentioned. Because some players struggle as their fingers start to swell. That happens a lot at Alexandra Palace. It's hot on the stage,
57.
and the backstage area, you've got to walk through something that feels like it's outside. It's freezing cold. You've got to be aware of these little intricacies if you're going to perform at your best. Dart players hate being cold.
30.
We haven't even touched on the other end of the scale in Winter Gardens. That can be a sweaty environment.
I used to hate playing
and
there.
I've been there as a fan. Even then, shorts and t-shirts all round.
It's amazing to me that so many players really enjoy playing in Blackpool. It's a great place to play, but the temperature makes it almost unbearable sometimes. I've got a lot of respect for everybody who's performed well on that stage in what sometimes is nearly 50-degree heat. Merv likes the ice cream or two, I'm sure, at Blackpool. When he goes there, he'll be looking to put a flake in that 99.
80. Mervyn, you require 99.
Not strictly a ton plus checkout, but you can only achieve it in 3 darts, so it's as good as.
Wow, that was different. Treble 13 first on 99.
Which you require 124.
I don't think I've ever seen that. Check you out, Merv, you little hipster.
Hipster darts worthy of stage 2.
99.
Well, let's disperse with the treble 13 first. He left 68 from 99. That was an awful visit from Mervyn, but this one isn't.
On the 6th leg,
Method to the madness.
7th leg is Dimitri to throw first. Game on.
What a very strange 5 darts from Mervyn King.
Well, I can't even think that it was a slip, because you normally aim for 19s first on 99.
Well, let's figure it out then. What he's trying to do is treble 13, single 20 for tops. That's the only thing I'm thinking about right here. But if he gets a 13, it's treble 18, double 16. As for the merit in it, questionable.
This is very early stages of my darts commentary career, but I get the distinct impression I don't think I'll see that again, ever.
No. Now, Dimitri has got a very interesting counting brain when it comes to certain shots. He doesn't make mistakes. But I think even with his intricate nature, he would never go treble 13 on 99. You can see what he's trying to do there. Take the 1 off the end, stay straight again on dart 3 to leave the finish. That is just really efficient stuff.
Yeah, he was going for a 130 because in that kind of region, that's one of the more manageable checkouts. That's the baby fish. This could be the big fish. Reel it in by the coast. Fortunately not now, and that's a pretty poor last dart. Doesn't matter too much. King's on 201.
The combatants from this afternoon are guaranteed £5,000 for their efforts. If you make it through to tonight, you can double it.
54, which you require 86.
They all have ambitions of being here on Sunday, where there will be quarterfinals tomorrow afternoon, semi-finals and final tomorrow night.
Mervyn, you're going to go 147.
Mervyn's got a channel. He's in a Ronnie O'Sullivan. Take out 147. That's good. Well, at least he's got one in the treble. Yeah, that's really well tidied up. He'll be annoyed at the second dart, but that's as good as he could have been with that dart in between.
That's plan B. If he wasn't going to hit it, he had to leave it small. You won't be too perturbed by that one, Mervyn, because when you don't click the 147 and your opponent's on something as small as Dimitri was, you do think he's going to hit it. And he didn't let himself down. 110,000 for the winner this year, biggest prize in UK Open history. Runner-up gets 50,000, semi-finalists 30,000. Lots of very big prizes on offer in a tournament where anybody can qualify. You have to put that out there. If you want to try and qualify for next year, get yourself to one of the Riley's qualifiers. You could put yourself up against one of the rising stars, or indeed one of the legends of the sport. If you're good enough, you could win 6 figures.
If you're good enough, you could find yourself on the main stage with Gerwyn Price, as young Thomas Banks did. All you need is a tenner, a set of arrows, and you could be on your way to Minehead.
60.
And feeling that, just come and watch. Feeling that, you can watch us on PDC TV. If you want to let the PDC know what you think of
108.
the evolution of what we've done this week with all of the boards being streamed from board 2 here and boards 3 to 8 as well, or in the case of this afternoon, boards 3 and 4. Let them know. They are seeking people's feedback to see if they can make further improvements in the future. But for me, it's been a brilliant addition this year.
Yeah, I think it's been wonderful, the fact that every one of the 158 players here has had streaming exposure.
And the funniest thing maybe, that we had 2 dart players yesterday
60.
having a very close relationship with the dartboard on their forehead. Aaron Monk and Kim Huybrecht. As to why, you'd have to ask them. Well, it doesn't have to be 18 and bull, Merv. Just lay up for double 16. All is well. Just a little bit of an update from the outer boards.
434.
Chris Dobie has been beaten by Brendan Dolan. The shocks continue. Is this one 4-all? You bet it is. Let's have a little look at the results from this afternoon. Because
That's a shock.
Brendan Dolan beating Chris Dobie?
I wouldn't go as far to say a shock.
I think it's a surprise.
Yeah.
The Masters champion is out, essentially. Brendan Dolan, by the skin of his teeth, got through 2 today, and he's now in the last 16 with the likes of Andrew Gilding, Adam Gavlas, Joe Cullen, Martin Schindler,
108.
Richie Burnett, Gary Anderson, William O'Connor, Michael Van Gerwen, Luke Humphreys and Jeffrey Desvaughn. It is wide open, this tournament.
I'll tell you something, Paul. If Mervyn King, Steve Beaton and Johnny Clayton all make it through, he'll prove that this is not a sport for the kids. It's one for the old-timers. Could be rolling back the years.
Rob Cross is 3-1 up on Steve Beaton. Actually make that 4-1. Johnny Clayton is 8-3 up on Jose de Souza on board 3. We aren't actually that far away from the draw for the next round. You desperately want to be part of that. And Peter Wright and Callan Rids on the main stage are just getting going. They have to wait until all of the games are done before the draw is done. It's not like the FA Cup sometimes where you have to play such and such or such and such.
Yeah, we don't have replays, and imagine if we did.
I'll have a replay of Aspinall Dirk van Duijvenbode, please.
Make that 2.
What, you want 2 replays?
Yes.
Well, what's happening to Vandenberg's scoring here? Because for the second consecutive leg, he's allowed Mervyn to canter to a finish.
He's looked... Well, I was going to make the point that he's looked slightly flat this game. I thought he was about to hit a 180 and give me the metaphorical middle finger.
Double 5. And Mervyn's feeling a little bit more bumpy now because he's got the lead for what feels like the first time in forever. Got some fans out there, and he could find himself in the same position as Willie O'Connor from our first game of the afternoon. 6-4 up at the break. It wasn't plain sailing for Willie after the break, even though he was 6-4 up. But what a game that was.
I'm trying to look at Merv. I'm just deciphering whether he's got his earplugs in or not. He does tend to wear them, particularly for the Worlds and really big stage tournaments.
I'm not sure, but when he does have them in, they're quite far in there.
140.
I think they're in there. I may be wrong.
There must be a clear colour.
He's always used it. He's never had anything that's iridescent.
60.
A la Peter Wright. He tends to do things a bit more stealth-like.
A bit more subtle. Not quite the Gavin Price here defending this.
And I'm not talking about his shirt either, which is quite bold, but what a wonderful tribute that is. I say it every time when he wears it, but I love that shirt. Lovely tribute to his father on the back of it, wearing a crown, which is something that his dad used to do when he'd come to watch him. You could never miss Mervyn's dad in the VIP area. He was wearing a crown, cheering on his boy. It's just a beautiful thing it was.
Easy.
Seen a few of those today, haven't we?
Yeah, I think it's all about clattering with the flight. It's nothing to do with the board. But that shot there, it's just because the dart gets a hold of the previous piece of equipment and just the momentum is all taken by that shot. It happens.
Devilish 128 gets the single. Well, once again, the second dart's sloppy, but once again, he rescues the shot with a really good dart. Might be all in vain, though. To go into the break level.
57.
Oh, what an invitation this is for Mervyn King. He's yet to play his best stuff in this game. But he is taking his opportunities. But doesn't take this one.
Correction, was taking his opportunities. So Bergh will get 3 more pops at double 12. Only needs 1. Well, the averages aren't jumping off the page. It's been a steady game of darts so far. But just as we like it, I've no idea who's going to come out on top in the next 20 or 30 minutes' time. Join us to find out after this short break.
Here we go then, last mini session of the afternoon on Saturday. And one of these players will be in the hat with a lot of other players who have done their work for the afternoon. They will be hoping that maybe by the end of this game, half of their work is done for Saturday. We've got plenty more to come tonight, and we've got absolutely no idea who's going to play each other. Isn't that great? We like the unpredictable nature of the UK Open, the open draw. And after seeing social media in the last few minutes, a lot of people seem to think, Dan McCarthy, that this tournament is wide open and vastly unpredictable.
Well, we are putting the Open in UK Open because there's a real nice mix of players that have got into the last 16. We only await 2 more names, one of these 2 on our screen. And probably Rob Cross against Steve Beaton because he's 8-2 up. Oh, and either Peter Wright or Callum Ridds. Yeah, I'm just forgetting about the main stage. Stage 2 is an important one.
So you're one of us now. You're a stage 2 kind of person. Now, Rob Cross is averaging 102 against Steve Beaton. He's playing really well this afternoon. And that dream match that everybody wanted possibly in the last 16 between Burnett and Beaton, I don't think it's going to happen, folks, unfortunately. Rob Cross could spoil that party. But the romance of the UK Open may still be alive for the King.
170.
If he can get the better of Bergh over the course of the next 9 legs. This has been a very flat performance from Dimitri.
80. 120.
Yeah, he's averaging 90 and change, which isn't going to be a tournament winning average. Merv won't win any tournament if he misses the big number.
I'm seeing more people missing that 14 and treble 14 bed than ever, especially on the low side.
I'll just ask you a question. If Dimitri pins this bull, which he does,
65.
is it down to players almost getting greedy and going for the treble, or should they just play really safe?
No, I think they take the 14 and the treble for granted. They think they're going to hit it. Think like you're not going to hit it. Really focus on that second dart. And I think too many elite players just think that it's going to get hit, when in fact, like I said, more people are missing it than ever because they're taking it for granted. The one thing Merv didn't miss was double 10. He's got himself a break of throw.
60.
Merv's been in the building a long time. I saw him in the practice room at the very start of the afternoon session, but that's nothing new.
Well, anecdotally, I always hear that when it's Players' Championships, he's the first one to register at Barnsley Metrodome.
Definitely one of the first people to walk in the room. I think one of the best ones I've ever heard was the Newcastle Premier League.
100.
He was on second game, which would have been somewhere around about 7:45, 8 o'clock. He was there at noon. He was knocking on the Newcastle Premier League doors at lunchtime. Maybe he didn't like Newcastle and he just wanted to play darts instead of walking around the city.
I hope they let him in.
They did.
140.
If I remember rightly, it was a very famous game he had with Raymond van Barneveld where he was not happy with the crowd. Often forgotten that he's made a Premier League final as well. Lost out to James Wade in his only Premier League title win back in 2009.
Well, I mean, you look at Merv's CV, it's just runner-up, 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 semi-final, semi-final.
122.
In a similar vein to players like Terry Jenkins and Dave Chisnell, they've just never had that elusive one. Double 7 for Vandenberg. Oh, it's fantastic. Nothing flat about that. Maybe the Dreammaker will be sparked into life.
Game.
It's
You will not defy me, a fist pump, Dimitri.
Respect your elders.
Respect the king.
It'd almost be treason if he didn't.
Honestly, if anybody else tried to do that.
134.
Imagine trying to do that to MVG or Gary Anderson. They'll be having none of it. Merv just constantly gives us highlights. Oi!
100.
Nice shot, young man. I absolutely love this guy. Maybe he's starting to find something.
140.
No more breaks. It's all to the end now. We will be back at 7 o'clock for the last 16. Mark your calendars in your smartphones. Set an alarm. Do whatever you need to, but don't miss it.
Mervyn King is 56 years of age now, but a little bit like Steve Beaton, he's probably only going to stop playing darts when he tumbles far down that he doesn't retain his card.
109.
He's probably one of those that's not going to retire until that point, whenever it might be.
Yeah, he will go to the very ends of the earth to try and maintain his status until he's into his 60s. That's for sure. What will be fascinating is, because they're inevitably going to be older, whether they will go to Q school in the future or whether they'll just retire when they lose their privileges. The question now is whether Mervyn King will lose this match. He did have the impetus, but he's had it taken away from him. 2 straight legs for Vandenberg for a 7-6 lead.
Yeah, he had an excellent start to the second half of this contest, but Vandenberg has now won 2 in a row.
92.
Peter Wright 4-1 up on Callan Ridds on the main stage.
Dimitri made really short work of Gabriel Clemens yesterday at the start of Friday night's play. 10 legs to 5. The averages didn't really reflect
125.
a game that had 5 legs between them. But early in the match, Clemens was missing really key shots. And when Dimitri got the lead, he didn't give it up.
140.
Steve Beaton not beaten yet. He's pulled a leg back against Rob Cross. It's still 8-3 though.
57.
That would be some comeback if he was to do it, but you just don't sense that Beaton from 5 legs behind can bridge an 11 average gap.
100.
You don't sense that Rob Cross will offer too many chances either. Hard man to beat.
Caught in two minds there, Merv, on that switch. At first he was going to go for the 60, but then realised that going 19s to 18s to leave the finish was probably the best option for him. It did pay off eventually a little bit, but Dimitri's in the better position with the throw, and it is against the throw as well.
So
come on, Merv, 3 balls.
He does look tempted.
I mean, he went treble 13 for 99.
Nope, he's not going to do it. No, it was in his mind. We were reading his mind, and he's just going to hit it anyway on 2 treble 20s and double 15. Oh, this! Oh!
140.
You could hear his thoughts. He was thinking, am I going 19s? No.
It's like
treble 20
we were
bullseye.
the speech bubble above his head.
Well, if there's a comic book for Mervyn King, I'd buy it. What's on the next page, Mervyn? You're now 2 behind.
Dimitri to throw first. Game on.
And Steve Beaton is 6 behind. Rob Cross has gone to 9-3 up. We are really close to knowing the identity of the 16 players
60.
for the draw at around about 4:30, 4:45, something like that. Isn't it another campaign at the UK Open where the King is left wanting? Somebody's starting to look a bit comfortable, isn't he?
He's striding at the right time, Dimmy.
94.
Not exactly lighting the stage up, Peter Wright and Callan Rids, both averaging in the mid to high 80s. But Bergh has raised his towards 96.
91.
That was a good 6 or 7 points less than that not so long ago, and it paints a picture of brilliance over the last 3 legs.
Cruel deflection means he doesn't get to a finish. The big fish. Nah.
We've seen 3 of them in the tournament, but we're not going to get a 4th. The usual boos, as you can hear.
24.
We've had 170s from Adam Gavlas, Chris Dobie and Steve Beaton in this tournament.
There's nothing that man can't do on a dartboard.
It's a lovely guide and a wonderful lead. 15 legs in, and Dimitri only needs 1 more to be a step closer to a first UK Open title.
Mervyn needing snooker's territory now.
No pun intended, but he needs to call the bank, because there used to be a governor of the Bank of England called Mervyn King. Wasn't there a professional bowler as well called Mervyn King? He was good in the old indoor bowls. It's not exactly the most common name, is it? But to have 3 famous people with the same name, that's unusual.
All the stars of an unlikely sitcom together.
The Mervyns.
I think it'll work.
428.
Yeah, Mervyn John King is an international lawn and indoor bowler from Fakenham.
Where did you pluck that from?
Search engine. Love the internet sometimes. But we like this Mervyn, you see, because he's better with the arrows than anybody else who's called Mervyn King.
84. You require 107.
Oh, we have a big fish, baby fish scenario. Wants to save the match, wants to take the match.
Couple of baby fish now.
30.
that's good. Bullseye.
105.
Can Dimitri do what Mervyn couldn't?
130.
To bring the guillotine down. He needs another one of those. For double 5.
And Dimitri van den Bergh can't seal his place in the last 16 just yet anyway. 25 shots, the bread and butter for many darts players practice. That's what happens when you put the hours in.
He needs to do a Brendan Dolan now, doesn't he? Needs to keep winning legs. Brendan got the last 5 yesterday against Vincent van der Voort. Mervyn just needs 4.
120.
Just 4.
I think it was board 8 yesterday where Luke Humphreys was 9-4 up on Damon Heta. Heta then won 5 in a row and Humphreys squeaked through. He's been made to work hard so far this weekend.
Just a little bit. Steve Beaton is out. Lost 10-3 to Rob Cross, so the dream is over for the Bronze Adonis. Rob Cross, who loves playing at Minehead, but still hasn't won here. We'll have another crack at making the last 8 tonight.
Well, if Mervyn King does depart at this stage, he can take some confidence from the way that he's been playing. He's not done bad. At least he's got a win on the board as well. It's been a tough slog so far on the Pro Tour.
There's a lot to come up as well. Players' Championships in Germany coming up. Qualifiers for further European Tour events, which will be immensely important for Mervyn for his ranking position and to have a chance of making the European Championship later in the year.
1-5-1. Just tee it up.
Well, he had a crack at this in the previous leg and missed it on the bull. But on that occasion, his opponent was on 130. It's double 5. The match continues. He still believes, so maybe we should too.
18 legs, Mervyn to throw first.
Mervyn King has the darts to take us to a 19th and final leg. Not down and out just yet.
Earplugs are definitely in there.
100.
Got to be in the bubble and in the knowledge that he's already won 2 straight legs. He just has to repeat that. Can he expose the weakness of the Dreammaker at the right time? Now, Dimitri can find a 12 darter with a click of his fingers most of the time. But his issue is that Mervyn is showing a lot of resilience in this match.
Looks like Callum Ridds is trying to show the same resilience. He's pulled a leg back against Peter Wright. 5-3 now to Snakey.
That is not a good game. Both averaging 88. Now, I don't think this game has been lighting the touch paper or setting off fireworks at all. It's been a bit workmanlike. But when you consider that the averages in this game are about 6 to 7 points better than the main stage, that paints a picture about Ridds against Wright.
It's almost a little bit after the Lord Mayor's show here because of what we saw with Dirk and Nathan.
Well, this is brilliant all of a sudden from Mervyn.
130.
He can smell the opportunity of taking us all the way. But another opportunity for Van den Bergh to close the door.
All of a sudden he's drifting.
You require 62.
Simple combination, treble 10, double 16. He loves this.
46.
Well, for a man who usually pins a lot of his hopes on double 16, that was pretty wild.
Yeah, that wasn't a good dart from Mervyn. This tournament has been won before on this checkout by Robert Thornton 11 years ago. But it doesn't get the job done for Dimitri. That was a tremendous last dart. Is it to no avail? This is monstrous. To stop Dimitri from getting a match start.
No score.
He may be saying between his ears right now, oh no.
Split or straight at it? Has to be a split now. 1 at double 8. We go on.
Mervyn, you require 16.
He's had some sighters at it. He does not want to have to go to the right-hand side of the hockey again. It's the right-hand side of the board.
8.
Well, well, well. Just when we thought the comeback was on,
16.
the whole thing may be off.
More match starts incoming.
Get shot.
Dimitri van den Bergh does it first time of asking. He completes this stage 2 session this afternoon with a largely uncomfortable win against Mervyn King. Dimitri van den Bergh hoping for a second major title this weekend, following on from the match play a few years ago. The Mervyn King, the wait continues, but Dimitri van den Bergh will be in the heart for the last 16 of the UK Open. That's it for this afternoon. As Paul said a few minutes ago, 2 hours and 45 minutes time. Set your watch, 7 o'clock. We'll be back for round 6.